Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the individual speakers, commentators, guests, experts, and our hosts. They do not explicitly or necessarily reflect nor represent the network broadcaster channel and/or program's policy or the views held by this network broadcaster channel or program. The network broadcaster channel or program cannot be held accountable for all or any views expressed during this program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Fem Talk Tuesday. We are so glad that you are here. So I'm going to bring in Dr. Melissa Simmons.
Hello.
Hello. It is good to see you on this Fem Talk Tuesday.
Yes, it's a good Fem Talk Tuesday. It's not as hot as it was this weekend.
Yeah, so tell us where you are, where you're watching from. We would love to hear from you.
Yes. Who, me? Or
Take it
everybody
away.
else?
No, everybody else. Talking to the Fem Talk audience, talking to Fem Talk Nation.
Fem Talk Nation out there. Hey, Fem Talk. Tell us where you are.
Yes. So take it away, Dr. Melissa.
Okay. As you know, we start our show off, and we have today, we're going to... Ask Fem Talk. Yes. So we have a good one, especially, and I'm feeling this one because my birthday is coming up also. So this is a question from one of our viewers. My birthday is coming up, and I planned a nice birthday dinner. I picked the restaurant, set the time, and invited my friends. When inviting everyone, I sent them the menu and mentioned the typical price per person is $100 with a meal and drink, so plan accordingly. One of my friends replied saying if I was planning this event, I should also plan to be paying. She said because of that, she will not be attending. Who's supposed to pay for events like this? This is a good one.
It is a good one. But, so for the person who's planning their birthday dinner, they gave everyone that they're inviting a heads up, which I think is completely appropriate to plan a dinner and give everyone a heads up. Maybe you don't have the funds to do so, right? So, but you want to celebrate and you want the people that you love and you enjoy to come to your birthday dinner. So in cases like this, if you are giving people the heads up, why not? Have everyone come and pay for their dinner, and you can do a preset menu. There's things that you can do that will allow the price to go down a little bit. But if you're giving the people a heads up, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And here's the deal, right? People that love you, that want to support you, right, and are able, right? Because if they're able, they will come and support you. If they're not able, don't be shy about that. There's no shame in saying, you know what, I'm not able to do this at this time, but I love you and I'll be at the next one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And the nerve of that person to say that you're supposed to pay for it. I think people get the idea now that when there's events, right, that somebody else should be paying and they should just show up and drink and eat.
Right. Oh my God. Come on.
It's not them. And I don't think that's right. Come enjoy your friend. And if you have to put out money, it's okay.
It's okay. I agree, Tracy. I shame on that friend. Maybe that's not a friend.
Yeah.
Because, I appreciate, I'm that type of person that I'm a planner, right? Some people are planners. They're not going to wait around to see what people going to do for them. They kind of plan it out and say, come and join me here and there. I've done many things I've planned for. The expectation, and I do it for my birthday because one of the things I've learned is I used to be upset on my birthday often because it didn't happen the way I thought it should. So in order for me not to be upset, guess what I started doing? planning it. So the expectation for my birthday is what I want it to be.
Right.
That being said, I never went there and then had an expectation of the people I invited to now say it's on me.
Right.
When I go to their birthdays, I'm always paying my share, even if they don't ask. And I think that's a credit thing. Even if they didn't ask, why would you go to your friend's birthday and expect them to pay?
Right. And here's the thing, it's their birthday. So why not contribute towards them having a good birthday?
Time. I mean, where's your friendship at? Even when you plan, say you did plan, say it was a big event like your 60th or your 50th or your 40th, and you planned an event. Yeah, you paid to make everything happen, but as a guest, you should be bringing a gift, a monetary gift for your friend. Right. So that when it's all said and done, it's like going to a wedding. When it's all said and done, you've given them, you're getting the bride and groom, you're giving the person having the party some money to pay towards that. So the burden of that event is not on them because you're celebrating that. And that's the point of the occasion, to celebrate the person because you love them. They're your friends. They're your family. So shame on that person. No, the expectation is if you're planning something, thanks for giving the information out that, how much it's going to cost. And people bring that money, or like Tracy said, or then don't come. If you're strapped, then don't attend. Hello. Exactly. But definitely, it is a celebration for the person whose birthday it is, and you should come prepared to spend and actually give more so that person doesn't pay.
That's right.
Agreed. So you should go with 150 just to make sure your friend doesn't pay. Here you
go. Agreed. So for the Fem Talkers out there, let us know what you think about this question. And if you have a burning question that you would like us to touch on in the next show or upcoming shows, please, send us an email at femtalktv@gmail.com.
All right.
So what's next?
What's next? Our next is the hot topic. This one I find extremely interesting. So, if you haven't heard, we have the state of Louisiana has under the Republican governor Jeff Landry has who we won't get into everything. They have voted to put the 10 Commandments back into all the schools, public schools in Louisiana. What are your thoughts? That new development about the 10 Commandments going back into the school. I don't even know if they ever went to the schools.
Yeah, I think this is interesting, right? And I think this can work twofold. So I'm gonna speak on the positive side of things, right? So we've gotten away from God and biblical principles, right? I'm not going to talk about religion because that's neither here nor there, but biblical principles in the school system. And with the way things are happening with the kids today, I do believe, and this is my own opinion, but I do believe that it should be in the schools and it should be taught in the schools. I think there's some biblical principles that should be represented in school, that should be represented in school. Because it just helps to understand right from wrong. I'm not saying that everything there, some things in the Bible need to be taught in a little bit different way than the way we were raised, and I'll put it that way. But I do think it helps to understand the right from the wrong, right? And there's a certain way to be able to teach those principles without having this overshadowing cast of throwing the Bible at people. I'm gonna put it that way, right? Because I think there's a way to do that. But I think it's interesting that the Bible is being introduced back into the school system. And I would like to see, what are the crime rates there? What's the dropout rate there? What's the reason for implementing this back in school, right? If there's a good reason for it because they're trying to put some principles back into the schools for the kids that are there, then I think it makes sense. And I think it should be kind of taught in that manner because they're probably starting to see, and this is me saying probably because I don't know their reasons behind it, but probably starting to see a spike in crime. Graduation rates are probably going down. You know what I mean? Like there may be more crime inside the school, right? There's bullying is really big these days. So I think, when it comes to things like that, and they're trying to teach the kids some moral and ethical principles, I do think it will serve well if taught correctly. Put it that way.
Well, I'm going to humbly disagree. Being in the school system, there are way too many children, students, teachers, staff that don't believe in or not, said believers in Christianity. And I think if it's for me, it's either all or nothing. If you're going to have a course on religion, you teach all the religions. If if morals is a thing, then bring morals back. If behavior, a lot of schools are doing they follow a practice of a restorative behavior, meaning you do something, behaviors about what you're doing, and many districts have taken on that policy of restorative behavior where you earn the right to do things. So I think the morals, the behavior is is embedded very much into the school system. I think taking the 10 Commandments, which is in my opinion, the 10 Commandments is on its face value is archaic. It's archaic, and it really does not speak of the morals that should be spoken of. That is much better represented with other pieces of the Bible that does not have to be biblical, meaning honor adults and give respect to others and different things and let's not attack each other. There's ways to do that, and it doesn't have to be based on the Bible. We know if you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, if you are agnostic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Depending on what you are, that doesn't mean you don't have morals. You know what I'm saying? So I think the focus here is not as innocent as it looks. Same focus that was done to take away the right for a woman to choose. That is the same belief that went behind Roe versus Wade and the Supreme Court. They were strategically chosen, the people in the Supreme Court, to do that. They the majority of the court are Republican based. We know that, and they are Christian based in their philosophy. And now they took away that based on their Christian background. That has and the whole issue about your liberty, your freedom is now snatched away for you to take the vote. Now, who's to say that we don't bring the Quran in and teach on the Quran? Why not? Why not?
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that at all.
I think that's the problem with it. You are choosing a religion to now give to everybody, and that is not what public school is about. That is not what public education is. If you have that right, if you want your children to learn of your religion, then send them to a religious school. I went to Catholic school. So yes, I expect that in Catholic school. I don't expect that if I send my child, because guess what? I don't want my child to be learning about somebody else's religion in public school. That's my job as a parent to now give that. And I don't want your version of the religion.
Yeah. Now, okay, so I completely agree with you on that. But I wanted to ask you, because based on what this country is built on, put my quotes up. I'll put my air quotes up because I got to take it to a different place.
Yeah.
Based on what this country is built on, right? It was built on quote unquote Christianity. I got to put those quotes up, right? But I know here that it says also that there's a civil liberties group that has filed a lawsuit against this because they don't want exactly what you were mentioning, there to be religious favoritism in public schools. So they don't want that message to be sent to their children that this is a dominating religion. Christianity is a dominating religion.
Yeah, and if you look at the numbers now, there's other religions that are gaining gaining in commitments from around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's again, I think it's a ploy to again in enforce the religious wing's belief, the
Mm-hmm.
Christian, the right wing beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe that is what school is about at all. It's bad enough that we have, that they don't teach about um, um, Black history, um, um, Indian history, about any other Hispanic history. It's bad enough we don't even have those teachings. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
But to your point
hold
there,
my I'm
right?
gonna hold my
Even
tongue.
with no, no, and you know I like to debate these issues, right? But even with what you're talking about when it comes to history, right? How do you cover it all? You can't cover it all with the religion, with the history, right? How do you balance it, let me put it that way, to cover um, enough that gives you kind of a wealth of information around different aspects of religion, culture, community, people, race. Like, how do you cover enough of that in the public school?
I mean, that's
Hard to
about
do.
that's all about teaching. That's all
Mm-hmm.
about creating curriculums that support that.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many various ways. In maybe many of the course selections where you could, if it's through a history class or a
Mm-hmm.
civics class or American history class, and you cover all of the different decades of American history. There's ways to bring information into class. What people are choosing is to leave things out of those curriculums. That's
Yeah,
a
no,
choice.
I agree with that. I think some key information is left out. But
Absolutely.
how do you also balance that when you have different cultures in public schools who may not, like you said, if I'm a Muslim, I may not want my kids to learn about Christianity in the public school.
Right.
Well, if I'm a black woman, but I may not want my kids to learn about, I don't know, Hispanic history. I'm just naming what we named. That's not my
Right. Right.
views, but
Right.
I'm just saying, like, how do you, because you can't manage it all from that perspective. You know what I mean?
You
Where
can't
you're
manage it
trying
all, but
to
you can.
satisfy everybody in these cases.
Exactly. That's why you don't pick one. That's
Yeah,
why you don't pick the Ten Commandments as the overarching
yeah,
religion to be taught. You don't pick it. The
yeah,
Ten Commandments clearly comes from the Bible and it comes from a Christian perspective. You don't
yeah.
pick it. You allow the variety of religions. If you
Hmm.
have, and you do that through either you, and that is easily incorporated through English classes
Hmm.
and language arts classes. That could come through history classes. That could come from world history components. It could be
Hmm.
electives, but you don't pick a overarching religion and say that's what everybody's going to learn.
Yeah,
No,
and
that
I
is not
agree with.
public education. That is Christian education, and there's a
Yeah,
difference.
yeah, agreed. And did you see Nick's comment? He said create a code of morals for the school,
Absolutely,
which
schools do it all the time.
there
They do
should
it all the
be,
time.
how you do for your businesses where you have like a credo, right? Like there should be a certain credo for schools as well, and there should be a federal credo, and then there should be state credos, right? But none of it should get away from what's ethically proper and morally proper for all people,
For
right?
everyone, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Respecting each other, and
yeah,
respecting who every individual is. I mean,
yeah.
that's and they do. A lot of schools adopt visions and goals, and they have statements
Mhm,
that the school believes in, that the district believes in, that the board believes in. Some of them
mhm,
say it at every board meeting, so they do have those things. They have a lot of codes of behavior. If you walk into a school, you could see them all over the walls. You could see the characteristics that's required. I've seen it in schools where it's like as you walk up the stairs, you see different words of encourage each other, believe in each other. They have it in schools. Morals
mhm,
are embedded in school systems, and
mhm,
they're embedded in school districts. So to say that they don't have them, and the need for the Ten Commandments is off. It's off.
mhm,
It's off because, like I said, public education is about the full public.
mhm.
Everybody attending the school. This is Christian education. And if you want it to happen in a Christian school, then you go and start your Christian school. But that's not public education.
All right
So
now.
Very, very passionate about that. But
Well, listen, this is your area of expertise for sure, right? So, absolutely.
I see when people want, and I guess part of it is I've seen when certain voices are louder in
Mhm,
school districts and in
mhm,
school systems, and
mhm,
they do push their own agendas. So when I see the agendas being taken advantage of, or
mhm,
somebody pushing their piece, I'm keen to hear it, because then I know you're not about the students, you're about
mhm.
your agenda, and this is specifically a specific group's agenda to make this happen.
Yeah, and all too often, right? We see that happening in school systems where it shouldn't be, right? But it
Shouldn't be.
happens more times than
Yeah.
not, right?
And let me say this, and I think we could segue into we talk about civil liberties, and I think we could segue into our main topic today, because I'm a Christian. So
Mhm,
let's not get it twisted. I'm a Christian.
mhm,
The Ten Commandments is not an issue for me. But it's an issue for me
mhm,
when you want to tell me what they mean.
mhm,
See, now you're getting into now what becomes the problem is interpretation.
mhm,
Okay. And as a Christian, what I've learned is the Bible, that I should take the Bible, learn the Bible for myself, study the Bible for myself, and
mhm,
not allow somebody to tell me what the Bible is about.
mhm,
That I learned that to let the Spirit of God within me guide me on my understanding and my knowledge. The Bible says, if you have a question, ask me.
mhm,
Come to me.
mhm,
Judge the spirit by the spirit. So
mhm.
my problem isn't so much the 10 commandments, it's the spirit behind the people that want to put the 10 commandments into the school systems.
Yeah.
And
Mm,
that then becomes this, again, control that people want of you, and
mhm,
how what they feel, and when you talk about morals, it's about what their morals, what they feel your morals should be,
should
not
be.
what
Yeah.
they. That's the problem. That's the problem. And and as we talk about, this is the month of Pride, this is Pride Month. That's what
Mhm,
this is all about, is
yeah.
people telling us what we should believe and not believe, how
Mhm,
we should act and not act,
mhm,
what who we should be and not be.
yeah.
That's what this is about. And we got to be real careful, even as Christians, that when people tell us what they think
Mhm,
we should believe, what our moral stance should be on so many different things.
yeah.
And the whole concept behind Pride Month is to honor people's own choices in their lives and not judge who people are.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. And this has been a fight in this country for a very long time for so many different reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we don't have, or they don't like to allow us to have like true autonomy, our own views, right? Like this is what this country does, right? It tries to impress its views upon the people, but people are fighting back, and I think that's what pride is all about, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fight back, to say no, I'm not going to allow this to happen. I'm not going to allow you to tell me who I should be, right? Because I'm going to be who I want to be, and I'm going to use my voice in order to make sure that myself and my community, right, also uses their voice, right? That's what pride is all about, coming out and
That's what
saying
it's all
no, we're
about.
not taking this anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that being said, we have a special guest tonight.
Yes, we do.
Um, as we were discussing, there he goes. We have our special guest, Nick Sims, is with us tonight, and he's gonna help
That was an
engage us.
interesting segue. I can definitely say that. Um,
And we're so excited for you
but
to be with us. Tell us, I mean, you've
yeah.
heard what we was
So
talking
wait, I
about, so
was
give
like,
us
we
some
were
of
just
your
when you guys were
feelings.
just talking about the hot topic. It really got me thinking about it's. It sounds, you may not even see it this way, and let's start off here, right? Just like everyone else. Yeah, I'm a Christian, grew up in the church, grew up too much in the church, if I really want to be honest. Was, living in it basically, if you really want to get to the bottom of it, but was in the church. So I know the 10 Commandments. I can't go home on Easter without my dad playing the movie The 10 Commandments. So I know it. Don't have a problem with it. But believe it or not, that's just the government trying again to silence people. And what I was thinking about was the fight with critical race theory right now, the fight in Florida right now with Don't Say Gay. What you ran into now is you have people being silenced and attacked. And if you don't believe this way, your voice doesn't matter. And that's where people's intentions were. And that's the problem. And that's why you have pride, and people are so bold and doing everything in their power to make their voices heard, is because people are still trying to silence us. Doesn't matter that there's a month to celebrate Pride, people are still being silenced.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter there's a month to celebrate Black history, people are still being silenced.
And I'm so
I
glad
think
you
that
mentioned
relates to the title of Can I Come Out, is because in society you are silenced. You're not allowed. You're meant to be quiet. If you're not falling in line and doing what everyone else is doing, your job is not to say anything. And
That's
people
good.
are fighting so much to get their voices to finally be heard.
Yeah.
Again, and I'm so glad you mentioned that. And you said to keep silent, and let's say this, and whatever it takes for these movements to silence you, it has been over the life of this country, whatever it takes to silence you. People have been murdered, lynched, mortally attacked, brutally attacked. To not to when they stood
And
out
not even
for
people, communities. We make it's bigger than, yes, there's violence and things happen, but there's a difference when you're attacking a person and you make your attack against a community because you're trying to make a point.
That's right.
Yeah.
That you're better. That you're better.
You're
That
going
your
to an
views,
extreme.
exactly. That your views and your morals are better.
Yeah.
That your belief is better than the person, than anything than that person you're looking at. And one of the things, and I want to ask you, Nick. You can't. Thank you for coming on tonight. And the question is can I come out? And tell us a little bit about what that statement means to you, and why you felt that you wanted to be on this show tonight to talk about can I come out?
Can I be real honest? I
hope
don't
you
want to
are.
be on the show right now talking about it.
And that's
I knew it was happening throughout the day. I was thinking about it, and there was this level of anxiety and stress and pressure and fear and just being scared just came over me. Same feeling I felt when I talked to my parents about what I prefer in my life. And I asked the question, can I come out, because of what I was taught and what I was grown up in. And a lot of people that I know lived this very similar experiences. Everyone has this, when you're born, you're assigned this, you're supposed to live this life, right? From the moment you're born, if you're a girl, you're supposed to be planning your wedding. For a guy, you're supposed to be into sports, you're supposed to do this. And I never felt, I always knew I fit the mold sometimes, but I didn't others. I liked what I liked, but I didn't what I didn't, and no one was ever going to change that. But because it wasn't the norm, there's this question that rings in the back of your head: can I come out? Can I say something?
Yeah.
Is it acceptable? Will I still be loved? Will you understand where I'm coming from? Will you hear me? Will you see me? Will you be there for me?
Yeah.
So you live your life asking that question.
Yeah.
And you ask that question almost to every single person that you feel connected to, is, do I feel comfortable enough doing this?
Yeah.
Until you feel liberated enough where you don't care anymore, and you'll get on a Fem Talk and, hey, let the world hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say first, thank you for your courage, one. And thank you for the transparency to come here and say, first, I had the anxiety. I was scared. I didn't necessarily want to show up for this tonight, because that's the real part of it. And I know that that's probably what other people are feeling before they go into their parents, right? Before they tell their friends, before they tell other people that they love, you know what I mean? Before they can really be open about it. So thanks for the courage, first of all, because it takes a lot to come here and say what you're saying, to do exactly what you said, right? To go, to be yourself and go against what society is telling you should be.
Yeah,
Well, I
100%.
wanted to say that first. But I wanted to ask you, when it comes to that question too, when you say, can I come out? What made you um, go to your parents more recently, I would say, to have the conversation?
Um, I didn't. I'll be honest. I didn't start that conversation with my parents.
Mhm.
I was very comfortable in my life.
Mhm.
And the people, I don't live with my parents right now, right? So the people I was around every day knew, and
Mhm.
I haven't said it, right? I'm bisexual, don't like living my life. And that's the people that are around me and the people I love and my friends, they knew that. Um, the first person I ever came out to, I actually didn't ever happen. We were out and I'm meeting someone, things happen. Like he was like, "Oh, cool," and we just kept it moving. And that's one of my best friends to this day.
Yeah.
And we never had to have a conversation about it. It was like, I see you, you see me. We're gonna keep it moving. But that person has always supported me to this moment.
Yeah.
It was my birthday the other day, and I was like, "Hey, I'm in the city. Can we hang out?" He was like, "Oh, come over." And I ended up hanging out with my best. Like it's so natural.
Yeah.
What happened with my parents though, and that's the stress. That was the big one. That was the one I was worried about. That was the one I didn't really necessarily want to have at that moment. I was waiting for the right moment. I had it in my back of my head, right? You plan it. If I have to do this one day, I'm gonna wait till I'm in a relationship with someone and I feel really good about it, like to the point where I have to bring you home to meet mom and dad. And then, okay, cool. I'll go down a week before, warn them, and then you'll come, right? Like I had the plan. Obviously, plans are a joke because I was hanging out with my parents for, I think, a birthday or a celebration, back a birthday in February, and I'm hosting the party like I always do. I'm the host with the mostest. I have a good time, and the community my parents live in, where everyone's drinking, we're having a good time, we're just talking, and one of the ladies, who was present, is walks up to me and just hugging on me. I love you so much. I love your energy. I love your vibe. Thank you for hosting this party. My mom comes over and she goes, I just love your son. Now, this is a older lady. She is gay. Um, and she looks at my mother and goes, he's like me, right? He's one of us. Talking about like he represents the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah.
And I knew that conversation never happened between me and my parents. I literally just cocked my head, look at my mom, and she goes, I don't know. How about you ask him? And conversation ended. I immediately walked away, grabbed my drink, and walked away.
Did
And
her response like make you feel? Did your mom's response, not the woman, but did your mom's response make you feel better about going in and having the
no,
conversation?
my
No.
mom's response made me ask that question again. Can I come out? I
Mhm.
was scared to do it again
Mhm.
because truthfully, the way our relationship is and the way we were connected, we talk all the time. And I said it finally, obviously, we're in a place where I think we can have this conversation now.
Mhm.
Because at the time, though, I thought, you're not stupid. You're, you things have like, things have happened and
Mhm.
you are not oblivious to life. So your response in that moment didn't make me feel safe. And instead of putting it on me, like I didn't. If we had that conversation, that's a different story. But one of your friends just put me in this conversation,
Mhm.
and you threw it back on me,
Mhm.
and you looked at me like I was supposed to say something, and oh, and I'm gonna just out myself in the middle of this party.
Right.
So I said, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a part of this, and I walked away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
As
what
a
we'll do,
oh, go ahead.
we'll take a break at this moment. And we come back, I'll give my response, because I think it's important to understand, and the whole concept about coming out has everything to do with what Nick is talking about, is what's going to happen to the people that you love, what they're going to do next. So when we come back from our break, we'll talk about that.
Hello, and we are back with the fabulous Nicholas Simmons and Dr. Melissa Simmons. We are talking about Can I Come Out? So take it away, Dr. Simmons.
So, I mean, I remember the moment. And for me, and it's all about, I think in this moment for me, it was perspective. And let me start by this. I know my son. I've known my son all his life. I have lived my life protecting my son and making sure that no one would ever hurt my son. This question of who he was sexually, what he wanted to choose in his life as a partner, wasn't an issue for me. It never has been, because I know my son. I know him from a baby. And one of the things that I remember even larger was when a friend of ours, when their child came out and they were tossed away. And Nick is right. We grew up he grew up, not me. He grew up. I raised him in a very Christian community. Around everybody we knew was pretty much Christians.
I mean, that's I have to pause there. I know we're trying to get to like your response and then our back and forth for a little bit, but that's my relationship with God hasn't changed. My relationship with people have, and that's what needs to be said.
Yeah,
exactly.
Is I haven't stopped loving the God I believe in. I haven't stopped believing the God I believe. Like I haven't. My heart hasn't changed ever. If you really want to go to it, that was my heart. I'm still the same person. I was that Nick back then too, when I was still in church and I was still believing in God and still doing everything. But you were taught it was wrong. You were ridiculed, especially in the Black church. You were called out from the pulpit for living a life that wasn't it. And
we all witnessed it.
I was called to be by my Lord and Savior was to love. Not to be perfect in your eyes, not to do anything like that. So it's also, my mom was an elder, my dad was an ordained deacon. Now I know their hearts and I know who they are, but I also know what you grew up in and I also know what has happened around me. And I wasn't at that point, I'm not risking the relationship I have with them because I need to confess something. It's not impacting anyone's life right now, so let's keep it moving.
And can I say this too really quickly? I just want to make this point, right? Almost everything that we do according to the Bible is wrong. Everything.
I know, like you want to yell at me about my sexuality, yell at me about my tattoos. I'm sorry, you eating pork and you're doing this. Right. Pull up the book of Deuteronomy and we can go sin for sin.
Yes.
You want to go sin for sin?
We go
Yes.
sin for sin. And I
Yes.
think, and the biggest lesson I learned is no sin under the face
Greater
of God. That there's no sin that you can talk about that's better than other sin. There's no judgment. Sin is sin.
No
Sin
levels.
is sin. There's no levels.
That's
So
right.
to your point, we could call our sin all day with
That's
the
right.
most righteous person we can call our sin.
That's right.
That being said, the conversation, the two main conversations I had with my children was, and I was saying when a friend of ours, again, the daughter came out, and in coming out, she was thrown out of her house. She was not allowed back in her house, and she went on social media and pretty much was crying on social media, and the pain that came out of her post was, it was horrible, but painful for her. I was hurting for her. So I called both my children. At the time, CJ was, in my opinion, too young for this conversation. But I called both Nicholas and Ashley, and I said, "Let me make this crystal clear," because I knew I had to, because I'm part of this community, and I made sure I told them. I said, "There is nothing that will ever take you out of my love.
Amen.
Nothing that will never separate you from me, from our family," meaning my family. I can't talk for other people in my family, but my family, my husband, me, our family, nothing. You are always welcome. I don't care what you decide to do, what you want to be, who you want to be with. That has nothing to do with it. I will love you till the day I'm gone, and even evermore.
Amen.
So I have to say this.
Amen.
I remember that conversation to this day. That's why what happened a month ago or a couple months ago hurt so much and confused me so much, because I expected your response to be like, I had an expectation for my mother to show up in a moment. I had an expectation for my father to show up in a moment, and they didn't do that. Even though what I was told, or what I believed in the moment when it happened, I didn't feel like the throwing it back on me made me want to hide more, instead of felt like, oh, I feel open to tell my story. And it took us a while to actually talk about it. It didn't happen right away.
I'm curious too, right? This is me coming from a parent's perspective too, right? What would have been a better response to you and for you?
I thought about this a lot, and I was like, well, like, because I even talked. Obviously, I have a friend group, and I had someone I had people I was able to go to even after it happened, and one person asked me the same question. Well, what did you want that response to be? Truthfully, I said, because we never had that conversation, it should have been no. It should have been immediate no.
But
you don't know it, because you don't know anything then.
But can I say this?
Saying, I don't know, let's ask him, makes me believe that you knew something, and you also then refused to have that conversation with me.
Yeah. But
I may have been scared, I may have been hurt, but you like, if you had we're so direct and we talk about everything, especially like the relationship I have with my mother. We can talk about everything. So the moment you said, I don't know, let's ask him, it went to, so you know something, but you didn't want to talk to me either.
But doesn't know.
And
I'm sorry.
No, Tracy, yes.
I'm itching for this right now, right? And I'm listen. This is innocent because I'm a parent and my son is still young, right? But it doesn't know. Give into the norms of society, like an immediate no. Doesn't that say like no because I'm expecting him to be like everyone is expected to be?
Yeah. And I think I'll jump in here. I thought that was I would never have said no. That's for sure. And in that moment, the only thing I said, I don't know if he's gay or bisexual. So let me and then I once I used the word metrosexual in describing Nick, and it was a term I used. I've heard it before, and I used it more of how he dressed. and I use it as more of a
Obviously, see.
addressing
The
kind of
brown
a
and pink combo, the chain. You know, I
term.
look good right now.
And I've heard it being used back in the, maybe about 10 years ago, metrosexual, where people were able to just kind of dress the way they wanted to dress. So I remember using that word once before, and Nick was like, "That don't use that again because you're saying it wrong." And I said, "Oh, I didn't mean to say it wrong. If I'm saying it wrong, check me on it."
I don't
So my
identify as
response,
metrosexual. When she said it, that was an immediate no for me.
right? So in that moment, my thing was I don't know what term he wants me to use, and that's where my response came from. It didn't come from throwing it back on him. It didn't come from not knowing. It didn't come from not being aware, and it didn't come from I'm putting him out there. I didn't even know. I think it was after I didn't even know how hurt he was because he didn't. To me, he just like, that's none of your business. That's what I thought. He because
Yeah,
right, because on the same level, Nick is never one not to talk. Right,
none of that
he's
was
never
said.
one not
Right,
to
I
talk.
internalized it. I was hurting, so I cut everyone off. I didn't talk to them for a while, and I spiraled. I tried to call other people, and I felt people weren't understanding where I was coming from, so I shut down completely. And it took me literally breaking down one night and finally just call my parents and go like, I'm losing it. And I blame you for me losing it right now. Like I am 1000% not okay. And it's your fault. I'm angry at you. I'm upset with you because like I said in the beginning, I know you're not dumb. I know you're not smart, but I didn't feel like that the person you promised to me to be in that moment, you showed up in the moment I needed you to be that person. Yeah. And I was very conflicted. It took us talking and then hearing her perspective and me coming down and going, okay, I do like in this moment, I can truthfully say I do understand her perspective now. Do I think it's right? No. I won't, being honest, no. Like and I think that's what getting to the depth of it, right? And living this life. You're so scared of rejection. Yes. And the right person rejecting you can be detrimental.
Yeah.
I not to get into it, but I have my own things I struggle with so my sexuality is something I don't struggle with. I got to my place. I'm good. But that turning into a struggle again for me. Yeah. That's where I lost part of myself again, and where people lose their part of themselves is the person I love the most going to still accept me? Yeah, because society says they're not.
They're not, right? And I think that's
my religion says they're not.
Yeah. Right, and that's the piece that I think hurt me the most was that I didn't know that's where he went in that moment. I thought I was giving him an opportunity to not say the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? I was once again being a protective mom in that moment, believe it or not. I mean, and it was hard for him to understand that. But I said I didn't know. I didn't know what to say, and I said, what if I said the wrong thing, and that would have devastated you if I said something wrong. So it was really that was really the innocence of where I was coming from. But when we talked about it, I explained that, and I said, I wish you would have, we would have the conversation, because that's another thing. I didn't think it was something, and I could be wrong. And I, just like, being a mom, being a parent, they don't give us the book on how to do this thing. So, we make mistakes. So, and I said, well, why wouldn't you have told me before? There was other opportunities. Like I said, that wasn't the first conversation. I told about the first conversation. I had another conversation with him and Ashley about the same thing. Again, it was one of those things again. I'm waiting for them to, because I think I'm opening the door for them to come and talk to me. And as adults, I respect their adulthood so much, to the point where I don't infuse myself in their lives as adults. I want to be, and I've been working on since they turned 18 and went to college. I've been working on a friendship with them. I'm still mom. I'm still there as mom, but I want to be a friend to them also. So they have, like Nicholas said, somebody to talk to in a moment where they don't have anybody. So that was where I was coming from. It's just this open, honest communication, and it's sad to think that all of that. And again, parents, we blame ourselves. Would I have done it differently to put my children into this environment of so much judgment? You hear about the church, and the last thing you think that could be a wrong decision.
And I want to ask too, like, because again, this is coming from the curiosity standpoint. Like, whose responsibility is it to bring it up? Like, I know that my son is very quiet.
It's mine. It was mine.
Okay.
It was 100% mine. And to be completely honest, I came out when I was 20 to my friends, to the people, and from then I was saying I was in relationship with girls. I was in relationship, like I did whatever I wanted to do. I ended up, to be honest, the last people that I felt needed to know before I stopped caring were my parents. I had a conversation with my sister, had a conversation with my brother. I was scared of talking to my parents, not because of who they were at the time, because who I knew they were at once. And when I was comfortable coming out at that time, they were still those people. They were still in the church. They were still very bought in. And even though we had those conversations, I've seen what the church has done. And because you're still there, I didn't feel comfortable at the time. I turned 27 3 days ago.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. So thinking about it, like I literally just thought about it. Like I've struggled to tell my parents for 7 years.
Yeah.
I struggled that long because at one point I think I got too late. I took too long. Now there's no right time, so I had to come up with the plan. Well, I was gonna surprise them with someone one day. And I learned that because everyone who I had the conversation when I wanted to, it was easy. Because it was with the people I wanted to talk to. It was the people I loved. It was the people I trusted. It was the people who saw me, like I like to joke, who saw me in my mess and still didn't judge me. So when I was my messy college frat boy life, who saw me through, like that was the first people I came out to, with some of my people in my fraternity. Because they saw me in my full glory, and they didn't judge me. They were still my brothers. So it became easy.
Yeah.
So so my advice is, are you keeping that? Are you creating that easy environment? I make this joke. I don't believe in safe places. You can't just say, "Oh, this is a safe place. We can talk." Did you foster a safe place? Did you create it? Did you actually, it's like I use a bank analogy. To create a safe place, you have to have enough in your account to do it. So did you deposit enough positivity and love and support and genuineness into this account to make it a safe place? Or were you just using them? Were you asking for something? Were you just constantly withdrawing from them? Because just because we're making transactions, but if all our transactions are withdrawals, it's still not a safe place. You're doing business with the bank, but you're not doing the right business for me.
Yeah.
So as long as you create that space where it's comfortable enough, you should be able to do it. I got grown, so I didn't do it as early. And I think that's the difference between me and this generation now. Is this generation now is they're requiring safe place. Like if you're not for it, you're not a part of it, and they're gonna just remove you.
Yeah.
And the people around them, they're gonna feel honest, open about, and you're gonna be in my life, and I'm gonna trust you. Also, it is a little bit more easier to talk about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have all these factors that change it.
Yeah. I think we need a part 2 to this. I do. I really do, because
Absolutely.
it's a subject that people need to hear, right? And people need to, you're talking about these safe places, right? And I have so many questions going through my head about how to create these safe places, right? Because I'm sure your mom thought that the space was safe enough for you to be able to come say it, even though the religion was over here. I'm gonna put the religion on the outside, right? Because it wasn't inside. It was inside the home, but it wasn't so much so that it was
Believe it or
infiltrating
and,
the
and
conversation.
I think this is like true for everything in life. You are the company you keep.
Mm, mm,
So even though I knew my parents were a little bit more loving and understanding than most of them,
mm-hmm,
I see you in the pastor's office every day.
mm,
Like
mm-hmm.
when I was growing up, prime example is I couldn't come out to my parents, and then I'm walking to the church. Like I was scared they would like the conflict of there. Like I know what these people are
Yeah,
saying from the pulpit every week, and you're the first people they call when something's going on.
yeah,
Now you have a conflict.
yeah,
Like that was the other thing there. You have your own conflictions with it.
yeah,
Maybe not in your heart, but with the other people you're around.
yeah. Oh, that's good. Um, I'm sorry that
Well,
I'm in the show. Well, we have to end the show, but we need a
yes.
part two, Nick, because I think this needs to be explored
I
a lot.
mean, I'll be honest. I'm very happy. I'm going to Pride Sunday.
Okay.
I will be at New York City Pride, and because I guess we can end here because I know I see the time,
Yeah.
but that's a celebration,
Yeah.
and it's people. It's a judgment-free zone to be happy, to be well, to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I've gone for the last couple of years and enjoyed it because sometimes you just need to feel judgment-free for a second
Mm-hmm.
to feel liberated for your life.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's good.
So if
Well said.
there's probably a lot more to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. We thank you, everybody out there. We're going to end it here, but look for part two of Can I Come Out?